Hi, my name is Madison Smith. I'm a sophomore communications major with a concentration in public relations here at Manhattan College. And I'm here today to talk about the Writing for Public Relations course that can be taken as part of our communications department. Okay, so the first book we had to read was Understanding Public Relations. Here it is. So this book kind of talks about different theories in the public relations industry and in greater society as well. For the most part, it talks about a socio-cultural approach in PR, which it kind of stresses is very important because it allows for PR professionals to go beyond their organizational boundaries and integrate aspects of society and culture into their work and just in general kind of accommodate to different kinds of people better. The book also talks about discourse and how it's essential because it helps PR professionals utilize language effectively. It kind of creates a sense of governance and power, especially for PR professionals who control the conversations in society to a certain extent because they're, publicizing and promoting information about certain organizations that are particularly powerful in society. The book also talks about deliberative democracy, which allows for PR professionals to make expert knowledge accessible to a wide range of people so that they can foster, so that debates can be fostered among citizens about important social decisions. So PR practitioners, as I said before, are responsible for controlling the conversations in society and making certain information known to, society as a whole, not just certain groups of people, so that everyone can actively participate. The book also kind of talks about how society no longer operates based on a single public sphere. Instead, people come together based on different interests, knowledge to create multiple vernacular public spaces, and PR can operate in a variety of these spaces as well. The book also talks about certain marginalized groups and kind of categories and breaks that down and breaks down discrimination that takes place, particularly in the PR industry. For instance, the book does talk about gender and how it's kind of used to create a structural inequality in society that's completely socially constructed, and this further perpetuates into the PR industry itself, being that the industry is pretty much dominated by women. However, most individuals in high-level positions are men, which does further demonstrate, an inequality with regard to gender. So some things that I would like to see changed about the book. It was organized a little strangely. There weren't very specific headlines and keywords weren't bolded, and I find when I'm reading a textbook, especially about theories, it's easier when key concepts are defined and I can clearly pick them out of a paragraph. I find that easier to follow, and I find that I retain the information easier when books are structured in that way, as opposed to this book, which was kind of just filled with like paragraphs of information with no real distinction between what's a key point or what's a supporting point or anything like that. So I do wish that the book was organized slightly differently. Other than that, this book I found it to be particularly interesting because it did talk a lot about the PR industry and specific issues and problems that PR professionals are facing, and how that connects to issues happening in our society currently. So I did find it to be a very interesting read and something that was really important and I think definitely positively affected my learning experience. So the next thing I'm going to talk about are writing related practices and kind of writing tips that we learned throughout the class because this is a writing for a PR course. One thing specifically that we learned that really did stick out to me was the interconnectivity of research, writing, and design and how that kind of leads to the creation of excellent public relations related documents. So the first aspect is research. And research, I learned in this class, is so essential to public relations writing and must be conducted before writing all PR documents in order to know who it is you're speaking for, and what aspects of the organization you want to emphasize in your specific piece of writing. Obviously, writing is the next thing that is very important in PR because most of the time it's how you're communicating your message to audiences. We also learn the importance of, for instance, ethos, pathos, logos when writing, and also denotative versus connotative meanings of words. And the last aspect that we discussed was design and how it's important to have a pleasing visual appearance for some of your public relations documents, such as brochures and PR ads, which we luckily had practice creating. It helps to draw the designated audience in, and it also gives you a basis for thought and kind of grabs the attention of the audience. So we had to read 2 books that were specifically focused on writing for public relations. So the first one is Everybody Writes, it's right here. And throughout this book were various helpful tips for taking your writing to the next level. So a few tips that particularly stuck out to me were swapping places with your reader, writing for the reader from the perspective of your organization, really paying attention to word choice and how important it is, storytelling being an effective tool, particularly with press releases, and balancing bias and kind of including multiple perspectives in your document so that you're providing your audience with as fair and balanced of a document as possible. And this book was incredibly helpful because it lists kind of different public relations documents and how to craft them, what goes into making your document from just good to excellent. And it's definitely an important book to have for reference for the future if you're ever confused about how you should format something or how something should be worded or how it should look. It's definitely an important tool to pay attention to and to keep. And okay, now the last topic that I'm going to touch on in this learning experience webcast is the professional writing practices. So we had to complete 8 professional writing practice assignments, which were all, different public relations documents that we will likely encounter in the future and that we'll need to know how to write. I found this assignment to be incredibly, incredibly helpful because it was directly preparing us for a career in the PR industry, and it really did, I think, improve my writing skills and kind of cultivate them so that I now know how to write as a PR professional as opposed to just a student, being that PR writing and academic writing are completely separate. So just a list of those different documents are a resume and cover letter, a memo, a pitch email and news release, a backgrounder and fact sheet, a newsletter, a blog post, a PR ad, and a brochure. And as I said before, I really do feel like this assignment was so helpful because we were creating documents that we will use as PR professionals in the future. I recently completed an internship at a boutique public relations firm in the city, and I actually used skills that I learned in class to help write press releases for the firm, and I obviously would never have known those skills if I didn't take this course and I didn't have practice and background writing press releases. So I really do feel like this class in particular is helping students to prepare for an internship in the future and then potentially a job and a career down the line. So thank you so much for watching my learning experience webcast. I hope this was very helpful and you learned a lot about the Writing for Public Relations course and I answered any questions you may have had. Thank you.